Hello and welcome. My name is Chris from ChristopherHole.com. Welcome to episode 21 of the podcast, where the topic is 6 steps to being healthier. Now, I've broken this up into 5 questions, or 5 parts, if you will. We're first going to talk about health. Then we're going to talk about what that looks like in the real world. Then we're going to move on to fitness. And then we're going to move on to what fitness looks like in the real world. And then the final part is the 6 steps to being healthier. So what we have to do first is first understand the difference between health and fitness, and then we're able to understand what it means and what the 6 steps are in being healthier. Because a lot of the information that gets talked about, that gets found, that I get questions about, tends to be a fitness solution to a health question, if that makes sense, or a fitness solution to a health problem, or a fitness answer to a health question, if that makes sense, because most of the people that they're getting these answers from are fitness people, and they don't necessarily understand the full component or components that make up health, and they can't necessarily differentiate them from fitness, because at the moment, when we talk about being healthier, one of the things we talk about is exercise, and exercise can make you fitter, but you don't have to exercise to be healthier. So we're going to discuss some of those differences, and then we'll finish on the 6 steps. So just before I get into that, I do want to mention my social channels, which you can see down at the bottom of the page, which you've got Facebook, which is Christopher Hole Training, and Twitter, which is at Christopher Hole. Alternatively, you can come to the website and you can go to christopherhole.com/workshops, and there is a little hyperlink there that you can click on, and you can go through to my 6 weeks health coaching program. At the moment, it's just based in Bristol, but soon it will be up online that you can access via the website remotely. But at the moment, if you are in the Bristol and Bath area and if you find this information useful and interesting, then please come along to christopherhole.com/workshops. You can book onto the health coaching program, 6-week health coaching program, and we can expand on what I'm talking about here. So going back to today's topic, which are the 6 steps to becoming healthier. Question number 1 is, what is health? Now, a lot of people have a definition for what health is, but they don't always have your anatomy in mind. Now, the definition I've sort of come up with and constructed out of a few other definitions is the optimal function of all body systems. So your one body is made up of different systems: your skeletal system, your muscular system, your digestive system, your respiratory system, your circulatory system. Now, all of those have to work together. Now, when we start exercising, we would enhance possibly 1 or 2 of them, and then we would negate other ones, which I'll talk about later on. But when we're being healthy, they tend to all sort of work together, if that makes sense. And the easiest way I can describe that is diet-induced diabetes, where the pancreas becomes overworked. So what happens is you're eating certain foods and taking in certain foods, drinks as well, that overwork the pancreas. So it's a bit like you're sat in a car and you're putting your foot on the accelerator. You're not going anywhere, but you're putting your foot on the accelerator. And what's happening is the engine is overworking, then eventually it burns out. So that's essentially what sort of diet-induced diabetes is, if you will, in a very basic form. Don't take it as gospel, but that's the kind of idea. So it's trying to get all your different organs and systems working comfortably together. Now, at times some will go up and some will go down, but essentially we're looking for that optimal function. Now, when we do exercise, we can enhance that, but that is enhancing. That's not just getting them all to work together. So that's how we understand what is health. It's the optimal function of all body systems. Now, what does that look like in the real world? Well, that looks like normal life. Now, what it's not is it's not never getting ill. So a lot of people that I talk to, I never get ill, or so-and-so never gets ill. They will get ill because certain illness is completely normal and it's healthy. So, for example, the healthier you are, the less symptoms of illness that you will experience, and the severity of that of those symptoms will be less as well. So our body does slow down as we get older, but the rate at which it slows down can be reduced. So built into our system is a slowing down and eventually a death. That's you could say a certainty in life, but as you go on that journey, you can have less symptoms of illness, and the severity of those symptoms can be less. Obviously, we are on a slowing down process, but we can reduce that rate at which it slows down so it can last longer. So, for example, with regards to sort of what people describe as health and illness, at the moment they're in two different brackets. I like to put them in the same bracket because, to me, the January bug isn't necessarily a bug. It's completely normal. What happens is 2 weeks before that, or certainly at the start of December, people start overstressing themselves with regards to Christmas and New Year. So they start buying presents, they start buying food, they start going out to parties, they start eating things and eating more than they would normally do in a normal month. They would rush around. There's a lot of people around as well. So the mental stress of just a lot of people being in supermarkets, being in shops, being on the road in traffic, that puts another element of stress. So you've got a dietary stress, you've got a mental stress happening. Now again, to the untrained eye, for example, it doesn't seem like it's enough, but it's enough to add up over time. And then if they're exercising, there might be a physical stress that goes on top of it. So you've got a mental stress with all the added getting presents, going out to parties, whatever it is, traffic, shops, all of that kind of stuff going on. You've got a dietary stress with all the food that's being taken in and all the drink that's being taken in, which is more than a normal month. And then you've got any exercise that you might put on top of that. So all of those three stresses are adding up over time, and then by the time Christmas and New Year is over, that's when your body goes, right, that's it, I'm getting rid of all of that, and essentially it's detoxing. Now that's not to say that the bugs and the viruses don't have an impact, but all of that stress adding up depresses or devalues the amount of work that your immune system can do. Because if you look at anything, and if you look at a past video that I did, you've got this side of your nervous system called the sympathetic nervous system, which is a stress response. When we are stressed, we activate it. When you activate that side of your nervous system, your immune system is depressed. So if you are stressed, if you're eating poor foods, if you're exercising a lot, that decreases the rate and the amount at which your immune system works, leaving you exposed to a greater risk of illness. So what we want to be able to do is reduce all of that stress, reduce the mental stress, reduce the dietary stress, and reduce the exercise stress, for example. So another example of that is if you overeat and you get indigestion, again, that's a completely normal function. If you didn't have that function, you just keep overeating and overeating and overeating, and you'd never get the feedback from your body to say, that's enough, I'm not eating anymore. So those two examples, the January in inverted commas and the January inverted commas bug and the overeating, is a normal feedback from your body to say you've overstressed, you've overdone it, you've overeaten. In exercise, it's called overtraining, which is an overstress to the body, which eventually your body gives you feedback and says, no, you're doing too much, you need to rest, and it makes you rest. So when we are talking about health, it's that normal function of the body over an extended period of time. So if you're experiencing regular symptoms of illness, then there's an impact on the body, be it mental stress, be it dietary stress, be it a physical stress, that's causing your body to need additional recovery. Now, if you are, let's just say, healthy, then you won't experience that because you'll be eating in moderate amounts and the right foods. You'll be doing the right amount of activity, and your stress levels will be minimized. That added up will sort of extend your experience of healthy symptoms, if you will. And if you do get ill, the severity of those symptoms will be a lot less. If you do get ill, it might only be for a day or two, and then you're back on let's just say, the healthy road, if you will. So what we have to understand health as being is just the normal, optimal function of all body systems. Now, what we come on to when we start talking about fitness is the quality of being suitable to fulfill a particular task or role. So what that means is things then become a lot more specific. So it might be a certain system of the body that we want to enhance or improve. This is where fitness comes in. Now, what does that look like in everyday life, or in the real world, if you will? Well, you've got two types of fitness. You've got a general fitness and you've got a specific fitness. Now, general fitness is improving your cardiovascular function. So what you might do is you might sit on a bike and you can say, okay, let's just see what distance I can cover in 10 minutes. And let's just say you cover 10 kilometers. So in 10 minutes, you've covered 10 kilometers, which you could say is quite unrealistic, but let's just use it as a means of understanding a point here. Now, when you want to improve your cardiovascular fitness, you would then do some exercise, and then you would go back, and then you might complete that 10 kilometers in 9.5 minutes. So you've improved your cardiovascular fitness, the ability of your heart and lungs to take in, transport, and use the oxygen. It might be increasing strength. So you might go into a gym and you can only lift 30 kilos from the floor. You do various bits of exercise and various bits of training, and now you can lift 35 or 40. So your fitness, your overall strength fitness has improved and enhanced. If it's endurance, you might be lifting 20 kilos, but for a longer period of time. So what you then do is you then improve that to try and lift 20 kilos a little bit longer, or 25 kilos for the same amount of time, if that makes sense. So that's just a general fitness. There's no real specific target that you're aiming for, but you're just trying to enhance those particular components of your fitness. If we're talking about specific fitness, we're talking about running a marathon in 3 hours, or any time for that matter. If you can run it in 6 hours, can you run it in 5 hours 45? If you're running it in 4 hours, can you run it in 4 hours and 50? 3 hours and 50. So you can start to see that particular or specific events or specific sports require a specific type of fitness. Whereas if it's just everyday, just general fitness, it's just your ability to make your cardiovascular system work a little bit longer. So you're not trying to run that marathon, you're just trying to improve your cardiovascular system. Rather than the other way around, which is improving your cardiovascular system to run the marathon, if that makes sense. It could be just lifting a particular weight. You go into a gym and you can lift 30 kilos and you want to try and lift 40. So again, you're trying to improve your strength to be able to lift that 40 kilos, if that makes sense. So what you have to understand is the differences between all of them. Because when you understand the differences between all of them, what we're going to talk about next, which is the 6 steps to being healthier, then they make a lot more sense, and you can understand why they are what they are. So if you want to be healthier, number 1 is just to be active. So be active during the day. So we've talked about in past videos and past episodes 10,000 steps or 3,000 steps broken up into sort of 3 10-minute chunks, if you will. It's also moving well. So it's making sure your joints, when you are lifting, when you are walking, your joints are going into the optimal position. Because if we look at a joint, if we put it in a suboptimal position where you might be training the muscle, but you might be not training or putting the additional load on the ligaments, the tendons, or the cartilage, for example. So we have to get the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, and the cartilage all working together rather than just trying to train one tissue, which is the muscle. So it's being active and it's moving well. So that's the first 2. The second one is eating whole foods. and also eating the right amounts of them. The fourth one is drinking water and also drinking the right amount of it. If you can eat whole foods, and that means the whole food, not the processed foods which have additional additives and this, that and the other in it. I'm just talking about, broccoli, and you can see broccoli in front of you. That's a whole food. Or a potato, that's a whole food. When you start putting things together, then it starts to become a processed food. So we want to eat whole foods and we want to drink water. The final two is think objectively, which have balanced thinking. Don't be too polarized between positive thinking and negative thinking. Try and have a balanced perspective on as many things as you can. Yes, things are going to be slightly more positive than negative things, but can you find the negatives in any positive experiences? Can you find the positives in any negative experience? What that does, that stabilizes and normalizes your physiology, because your mind has an impact on your body. So if you can think more balanced, that balances and optimizes how the systems and the organs work as well. And also the final one, which is have a purpose, or to sort of make it sound a little bit more everyday, just have a reason to get up every day. So when people retire, they tend to deteriorate quicker because they don't have that reason to get up when they were going to work. So it doesn't matter if you're going to work or not, it's do you have a reason to get up every morning and do what you need to do. So those six things are spread over healthy eating, healthy moving, and healthy thinking, which I'm going to talk about in other videos. But essentially, to be healthier, what we have to do is move properly, move enough, eat properly and eat enough, and think properly and think well enough. That's the 6 steps to being healthier. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense to people, and hopefully you can start to apply that in everyday life. So before I go, I would still just like to mention, come to Facebook, Christopher Holt Training, like the page. It'd be great to have you there. The same with Twitter. Please do come along and follow. Additionally, if you found this information useful and you want to learn more, go to christopherholt.com/workshops, and you can come along to my 6-week healthy living program or health coaching program. And you can obviously learn this more in a little bit more depth, and with a little bit more in the way of explanation around some of the things that I've talked about in this video. So many thanks for listening. My name is Chris from christopherholt.com. I will speak to you in the next video.